Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Hope you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah, we hope you're doing super awesome. It's great to see everybody in the chat room. We have Miss Lauren Osaduzamin, and who else? We got Miss Brenda Murray. It's great to see you guys. Hello.
We have Le Nomade as well. And Up with Trees XD. Good evening over in Oklahoma City. Greetings over in Kentucky, Brenda. Good to see you guys. And we have Dominga. And he's up in Canada. Watched Dave Hodges' video about Jupiter's orbit shifting and coming into the asteroid belt. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. A couple of people had told me to go check out Israeli News Live, and that's kind of like where I wanted to start. He had scheduled a live, and I don't know if he was having problems. He couldn't get on or what have you. He eventually got on. It seemed like it was like a long time after to talk about incoming. And, it just clicks because so many people have had that vision of something incoming. But what's incoming is the question. What is incoming? There could be more than one thing going on. As I see, Trina Holliday's in the house. Darren Young's in the house as well. And we got Craig and Arizona Raven. Hope you're doing well. Judy K. Hope you're doing well down there in Florida. We're going to be talking about Florida. Rizar's in the house as well. And there's another Floridian. Fort Myers. And, we got a lot of family down in Florida. Archangel Gabriel. So, yeah, look at the messages and people feeling like something big is very, very soon to come.
Mm-hmm. With energy is building, building every day. And because we're empaths, that really affects us. It affects how we function. So that's why it's good to take a look at everything, but then learn how to disconnect.
Mm-hmm. And Rob got to catch a live. That's awesome. Queen Star Sophia. Rose War. Detective Heather Holmes. Up in Niagara Fall. Port St. Lucie. Darren's in Port St. Lucie too. A lot of Floridians. And Jerry is over in Utah. Susan Donahue. Good to see you, dear sister. Zachary Z. Pasadena, California. Good to see Frost Burns as well. Strange dreams lately. I had some strange ones last night too. And we got a Grizz in the house.
We got a roar. I did it.
She did it. Holy Roller 420. Can feel it. Yep. And Jupiter, Florida. So we have the Real Cassitrant 1. I guess the Real Cassitrant 1. And that's Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter in Florida. Lots of things going on. The signs are all there. Whew. Are you guys all prepped? Are you all stocked up? How's the water situation? How's the food situation? So many states now, mandatory, you gotta cover yourself. Mask. Wherever you go, it's just crazy. Michelle's up in Maine, beautiful state as well. Jeff Blackhurst, good to see you. Susan Sorensen. Yeah, so much going on. Mary Davidson, great to see you as always.
Yep, lots going on. And really, I think a big part of this is them trying to keep our vibration down. And we always got to be mindful of that, but we can't be blind. You got to look and see where you're going so you take the right steps and move forward. But yeah, there's a lot of energy coming in, a lot of cosmic waves, a lot of cosmic changes, bodies changing, energies changing, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we've had, as you guys know, we do energy work and a lot of other things as well. And we've been really, really busy working on and with people. And the one thing I want to really stress is that these times obviously are challenging with the earth changes and wars, rumors of wars, all that going on. But our consciousness is changing so fast. Some people are doing amazingly well. They're making huge changes in their lives, getting rid of aches and pains and discovering their purpose in life, and it's not all doom and gloom per se, because ultimately when we come out on the other side, it's going to be a completely changed world, and we're going to be living in harmony and unity like we haven't seen for thousands of years.
Yeah, and soul realignment is a beautiful, beautiful thing. A lot of things come up in our lives and they cause traumas, and those traumas come in our energy field and they take us off our path just a tiny, tiny bit. But over time, over a lifetime, say, that can really move you off of your path. And it's really good to move back into alignment, or at least, tell your energy, because it's our energy bodies. They know our alignment, and it gives you little hints and clues on what to do to pull yourself back into alignment.
Yes, definitely. So let's check out, some of the things like that we were going to talk about with. This was the live that Steve did. This is Steve Banoon, Israeli News Live. To me, he always comes across as somebody that cares with a big heart. And his question here is, will the Earth be hit by an asteroid? And then he goes into more detail. Now, he has a source that has told him, and he says it's a source that has also briefed the president, that said that they know something's going to be incoming in September, right around September, and they're preparing for it. And of course, there's been many people that think they don't believe in the whole plague that is upon the land. They think it's a cover for something else, whether that is Orwellian takeover of our rights, one world government, whether it's something totally different, like just get everybody and everything into a lockdown mode because something big like, perhaps asteroid impacts that are incoming that they know about is another possibility, or the fact that war could be kicking off, because like he was bringing that up as well. Obviously he follows the Middle East intently, and you'd have to be blind to not see that this is not the same political situation we've had going on. Things are, well, they're ramping up and they're getting ready to just let loose. It's like if we were in medieval times, right now they're pulling the catapults back and the rocks are being loaded and they're taking aim at the castle walls as we speak. Maybe even there's some scouting parties that have dug tunnels that are going to see if they could dig their way under the walls and come up the other side, if you know what I mean.
That's really creative. It's very creative.
Yeah, well, that's what I see. There's poking, prodding, testing. That's what's going on right now. If it was an MMA fight, they're just dancing around the ring, doing little head feints and stuff. Maybe a small little leg kick here and there, something just tentative, just feeling out. That's what's going on with the geopolitical situation.
So they're like making each other flinch. They're like swatting the hornet's nest, just to see what kind of reaction they can get. And that's escalating. I don't think it's going to be too much of a surprise. I mean, of course, like when something big does happen, we're going to have the initial like, oh, there it is. But then I think right now they're preparing us so that it's not a huge blow to our being. But yeah, I mean, things are happening.
They're most definitely happening. So, Steve's in his car and he's leaving Florida. So he was a Floridian. And I did get the message to leave Florida. It was a year and a half ago now. No, almost 2 years, I guess. I could feel it. And believe me, I loved being on the beach in Florida. That was my choice place to be. But just felt like long term, it wasn't going to work. And then with the red tide and everything, I took that as a sign. So there was a lot of people, though, when I was there that were always telling me of their dreams and seeing asteroid impacts off the water and a huge tsunami. But, here's the thing, guys. What's her name again? Deborah Tavares. Mm-hmm. If you guys have followed Deborah Tavares, who, she's very right out there with things, and She has talked about a plan for a long time to explode a small grade nuke off the coast of like Jacksonville to Savannah, somewhere off in that area, because that would cause a massive tsunami along the East Coast and cause havoc. And we've talked about the movie, how it ends, where there's that scenario where you don't really know what's going on. You don't know if Cascadia happened and then the San Andreas went, or you don't know if it was like one of those small nukes, which we know Russia and China both have them. And we know also that's most likely how they would attack us is through submarines along the coastlines. And we have so many people that have seen this. We've talked about Dudeman and his vision. There's been countless people that have seen the same scenario play out. And it feels like that scenario might be getting very, very close. So Steve he's leaving Florida. He's not staying there anymore. And we all have to listen to our own inner voice. And I know, a lot of people feel like you can't leave where you are no matter what. You're just stuck there. And obviously now there's more people unemployed. There's, all these sorts of rules and prohibitions. And some states, like New York, for instance, I think it was 22 or 24 states. If you're from any one of 22 or 24 states, you have to go into a 2-week quarantine if you enter New York. It's going to probably just get a little bit worse as far as that goes. So that's the big question. What's incoming? He's not sure. He has his source, which he says that there are possibly asteroids coming in, and it's that scenario, just like I saw a couple of you guys talking about, where we can't see it right now. Jupiter's moving out of the way. And then, we're going to see that. So that makes me think, is it Mother Shipton's thing with the dragon's tail testing us? We certainly have plenty of comets. We have Neowise going through right now. So Steve's was titled Prepare for Impact, and very, very serious. He seemed extremely serious. And let's see where I wanted to go with this. Nostradamus, we know about his quatrains, and we've talked about them many times. The Mabus quatrain, the famous Mabus one, where everybody's always trying to figure out what Mabus is, some sort of anagram. You do have USA in there, and then you have BM. Well, that's interesting. BM, BLM. That's interesting. Anyway, of people and beasts. So Mabus will then soon die, and then will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. Suddenly one will see vengeance, 100-hand thirst, hunger, when the comet shall run. Interesting, too. Comet Neowise is running, and I threw Comet Neowise in the Gematria calculator just for ha-has. You see the second one that comes down? Donald J. Drumpf. That's weird. And we have David de Rothschild in their impeachment inquiry. Oh, look at that. Where's Weed Me? Interesting stuff. It's sudden rapture soon. Okay, that's interesting. Breaking dawn. There's interesting things in there when you look at Gematria. God's authority. And then we see this out of Twitter. Twitter, Russia, Comet Neowise, your Thursday evening briefing. So apparently there was a Twitter hack that came from the inside and allowed hackers to push a Bitcoin scam on the accounts of Bill Gates, Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Kanye West, and more. Pretty wild stuff. The FBI is looking into the hack. And then we have Russian hackers trying to steal coronavirus vaccine research, so they say as well. And of course we have Comet Neowise running. Now Target and CVS is joining Walmart, Kroger, and Kohl's in requiring customers to wear face attire. And if you guys are interested in seeing Neowise, look into the northwest skies about an hour and a half after sunset. Look for the Big Dipper, and you'll find its ladle as it arcs back in the direction of the horizon, and it'll appear under the Big Dipper about 10 degrees above the horizon and should be as bright as that constellation's stars. So interesting times for sure. And then coincidentally, we have a bright fireball that streaks across the night sky over central Florida. We've seen an awful lot of fireballs. Some don't feel like they're meteors. And some probably are, because we do have some remains of meteors as well. So this one was seen over central Florida yesterday. And there was 39 reports about the meteor, including witnesses as far north as DeLand and as far south as Naples. And there's video there. So one witness in Zephyr Hills said it was a bright green fireball. Interesting. Meteor or space junk? What do you think it is? I don't know. Is it one of the things that's heading in from behind Jupiter, perhaps?
It very well could be. A lot of these things feel like, they do. They feel like entities. They are plasma, so they could be.
Meteorites recovered in Chiba weeks after fireball exploded over Tokyo, and that fireball exploded back on the 1st. And so we did find meteorite fragments. Interesting. So is that again perhaps from the same grouping of things that are incoming? Is it truly Planet X? Is it truly a Nibiru situation? Or is it something totally different?
Who knows? There's just a whole lot of unanswered questions, but we can definitely feel the energy increasing as if, something is going to happen, something is going to go on. But I really think that it's our spiritual practice that needs to be the most stable, because they're doing all kinds of things to unsteady us, with the news, things of that nature. So it's really important to be able to find your center and just hold it there. Hold it there as best you can. Hold on to your energy.
Well, we do, as I think it was Jason says, you create your own reality, so we don't want to push the negative. No, but at the same time, are you still here facing these things, or did they all go away? We do create our own reality, but, at the moment, it seems like we're all experiencing these things. So it doesn't mean that it's all gone away. We have to change the consensus reality. We have to work together as well, but we also recognize that there's forces out there that are working to create the reality that they want. And they're very organized, and they've been doing this for a long time, perhaps thousands of years. So when we look at everything that is happening, like, we're creating our own reality, sure, but did or did not we have a large tornado hitting in Sicily? Well, apparently so. I know the people there don't want to create, the reality of a tornado coming and hitting, but at the same time, it's still happening. So we still have to prepare. We could always stick our head in the sand or just go walking down the street. Meanwhile, if there's floods coming, it's a good idea to know that they're coming. So here we do have a large tornado in Sicily, caused major damage. And, we've seen a big uptick in the storms, the intensity of the storms. Look at that one. That's pretty big.
That's amazing. Wow. That's beautiful, actually, kind of.
Powerful, for sure. Mm-hmm. So we also have the discovery of the largest known meteorite to have landed in Germany in a garden. And this one was dug up in 1989 and sat in a garden for decades before the homeowner shared his unusual rock with researchers, and turns out it was and is a meteorite. And we have massive hurricane-force winds wreaking havoc in parts of western Russia, leaving 52,000 without power. And again, hopefully everybody has done whatever they can to prepare, for when the grid goes down, because again, more than likely, with everything going on and with the solar cycle, if it isn't an EMP, at some point in time, we'll have a CME that triggers it.
Yeah, there's always going to be some sort of triggering mechanism. Like right now, everything is so intense. I don't think it'd take much to trigger something major.
So you had about 52,000 people that lost power in the area, and there's video here as well. And we have flash floods leave 2 dead, roads and buildings destroyed. This is in Pakistan. And again, it's all over the globe. It's part of what's going on with the increased volcanic activity. As we've been saying, there's just more energy interacting with the core of the Earth, which then has an effect on the atmosphere, as we were saying, as above, so below, causing these floods. Extreme record rains again, and this is also over in Sicily where they had that tornado. Just look at that pileup. Isn't that, we didn't see things like this on a daily basis around the globe 10 years ago.
No, absolutely not. This is pretty insane stuff.
Yeah, and again, I feel very much that it just seems like everything upticked from like 2017. And as Brother Asaduzaman says, electrified, it's an electric universe too. And most definitely, so that interaction going on, if there is other large bodies in our solar system, that definitely can also affect us. And so I see questions, where's Nuke? He did say he was going to be here, and I warned him that we were going on live, and he said he wouldn't miss it. So thank you, Susan Donahue. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Miss Susan Donahue. We're so grateful for your guys' your support. Thank you.
Most definitely. We appreciate you, Susan, and everybody else here as well. Yeah, it's just incredible what we're seeing across the globe. And again, it just beckons for us to prepare. So when we look down into Mexico over here, more massive flooding going on. Severe flooding up to 3 feet high. And again, you can see, we've had so many roads collapsed, bridges collapsed, landslides, houses buried, which again causes people to obviously be uprooted. There's probably, I can't imagine the amount of refugees on the planet at this point in time. And then also it's obviously causing issues with the food system. So Christian Ice Age Farmer was talking a lot about September also being a time when we're going to start to see a lot more shortages as far as foods. Me and David Dubine were talking for quite a while the other night, and that's what he is expecting as well. And he's done so much research on this. He thinks that September is going to be kind of a make or break month where it's going to be more than obvious. And again, saving seeds. A lot of you guys, you got your gardens going. That's awesome. As Cindy was saying, it's like the first year is more of an experiment when you're getting the garden going, and the second year you can be more productive once you figure out your area, soil, everything, getting things just right. The insects could be a pain in the butt for sure. Obviously we have locust swarms all over. There's other things too. We shared with you that, our tomatoes were looking awesome. We had so many different heirloom tomatoes and stuff. And then we had a bunch of these nasty critters come in, these about 3-4 inch long horny caterpillars with big teeth that came in, and they just chomped down on so much of it. It really sucks. We were heading towards a beautiful, beautiful harvest, and they in just like one afternoon, they did so much damage.
Yeah, that was like really depressing because, they were all there. I had fun planting them all. It's like they were my children, and they were each a different kind of tomato. So yeah, but things happen. That's what you get for experimenting. You learn stuff. So that's good. I learned stuff.
Yeah, and again, you have to adapt to your area. A lot of people are going with greenhouses. I know more and more people too that are digging them down into the ground a little bit and building up and around, because that'll help mitigate temperature fluctuations as well. So we have more than a month's worth of rain in 24 hours in South Korea, deadly flooding there too. And all these countries are going to be getting more and more desperate, competing for resources. And again, be aware and be prepared, because we could stick our heads in the sand and just ignore things. And then if you don't know what's coming, it's just, you got to prepare. Why would you not prepare? So, are you ready? The ridge crest earthquakes that struck Southern California last July have increased the risk of the big one along the San Andreas Fault. And so, we had that 7.1 there, and we've had some big ones up in Idaho and in Nevada as well, and that swarm over in Utah. The West is getting, it feels more tenuous, and it feels like we are getting very close to perhaps seeing Cascadia and the big one itself. And according to a new study, those tremors may have inched the state closer to a much larger, deadlier catastrophe, the big one along the San Andreas. And we talked about the Joe Brandt story. I did a couple videos on that, and he had a vision way back. I think it was in the 30s or the 40s. And he saw it was the Garlock Fault that triggered the big one along the San Andreas. And the Garlock Fault is in play, and it's active now since that 7.1. So, not good. Definitely not good. And it could be, most definitely something that would change a lot of lives instantly.
Oh yeah, it really would. That I don't even really like thinking about that one too much, but it's before us, so we need to assess things.
So, two seismology researchers say that definitely increased the chance of the big one going on. And we felt some, and we felt a quake today. I felt a couple, and they are not showing up anywhere, but I definitely felt them, and I don't think they were anybody blasting. It didn't feel to me like that. It felt more like the earth, but I don't see any signs of them. As we can see, we still have the whole Ridgecrest area. Still getting quakes on a regular basis. If we zoom into here, you got 38 quakes of 330. And then we see over here by Tonopah, you still have 79 quakes. And, this is Long Valley Caldera. And the way the crust moves, because the crust moves so that this plume that's here will be heading in a northeasterly direction. So I wonder if the plume is right under here now. That's something that really feels right to me, because when we look at Yellowstone and how Yellowstone has moved over the years as far as the plume with the eruption, let's see if we could dig up what I want to show you. Plural is the key, I think. There's the movement. So you see how the plume was actually in Nevada. You see how it's gone, and it's moving in this direction. And so when I look at this, and there's Mammoth Lakes, and that's part of the caldera right there. If you go in the same pattern, it could be over in here. The last time this erupted, according to modern science, was about the same time as the last magnetic pole reversal. So around 760 to 780,000 years ago. So just another thing to keep an eye on as we are heading deeper and deeper into this cycle.
Yeah, one more thing, just one more thing. Oh, wait, just one more thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, we said thank you, Miss Susan Donahue, but thank you again. I just saw that roll through the chat there. But yeah, I mean, so much going on, so much news, and things are just forever increasing. So it's good to keep an eye on it. This one makes me a little bit more nervous. I'm not sure why, especially after we felt that thing today. It's like Mike and I were working on someone, then it's like we both were like nudged at the same time, and we looked up at each other, and there was no earthquakes, but there was definitely some kind of movement. And I'm wondering if USGS just simply isn't reporting it. That they've been caught doing that before.
Yeah, they sure have. And I see Brother Nuke made it into the house. Good. It's good to have you as well. Yeah, there's just so much going on right now. So where were we? Okay, okay, we talked about that. And we have the Great Lakes. Water temperatures are just blowing away records. The Great Lakes, if you haven't been there and seen them, you feel like you're on the ocean. I mean, they're so big. You feel like you're on an ocean. And typically they're pretty darn cold, and you don't expect to see 75 or even 80-degree water in the Great Lakes in early July, or in most years, anytime. But because of the hot streak that we've had going, it's pushed water temperatures in most of the lakes to the highest levels on record so early in the summer. Over Lakes Erie and Ontario, the water is the warmest it's been since records began, and it could warm even more. So, wow, we're setting records over there. But we have record cold hitting southern Brazil, and that's it. The extremes are getting more extreme. Continent-wide summer chill engulfs practically all of Europe.
Which is really scary. Study finds correlation between solar activity and large earthquakes worldwide.
Yeah, and it's the thing is now it's like the mainstream is finally starting to catch up to all of us, and people that are proponents of the electric universe, who have been saying this for decades, and now they're finally like, well, maybe there is something to that. Maybe there is something to the fact that, solar activity could actually affect earthquake activity and volcano activity as well. Well, there's so many people that have been saying this for years. In talking to David Devine, too, he was talking about so many of the papers of some scientists that have been redacted, that were talking about the solar cycles that were coming, like Sarkova, for instance, and totally redacted. But we've seen other redactions in regard to this plague upon the land as well. A lot of redactions going on, a lot of things being covered up is the bottom line. NOAA releases new interactive solar cycle tool, and big freeze, volcanic eruption perhaps by the year 2027. Looking back at the effects of Mount Tambora's 1815 eruption, which gave us the summer without a summer, the year without a summer, and again, all that affects the crops. And right now, there's a lot in play right now with different countries testing, probing, prodding, and in many cases getting ready to try to take other people's resources. And not that hasn't been going on the whole time, it has. So new phenomena discovered on the sun, and they're calling them campfires, as you're seeing the arrow going in there. The sun is really, it's just an interesting thing as we look at it. And we see the campfires shown in the image below were captured by Extreme Ultraviolet Imager, EUI, from Solar Orbiter's first perihelion. So these are the closest photos we've had of the sun before. And it definitely shows a very active surface, although, of course, as far as solar cycles go, it's been very inactive, but it still looks very active to the eye, would you not say? And there's videos here so you can see. So the sun might look quiet at first glance, but when we look in detail, we can see those miniature flares everywhere we look. And so that's David Bergmans of the Royal Observatory of Belgium. He's the principal investigator with the instrument, with the tool that takes the high-resolution images of the solar corona. So they don't know whether the campfires are just tiny versions of big flares or whether they are driven by different mechanisms. And of course, there's competing theories there. And so many mainstream theories have been disproven in the last decade. It's just hard to keep up with. And we do have a new eruption at Raung volcano, first since 2015 in Indonesia. And if we check it out, we have two new volcanoes that came online last week and still have ongoing activity at 17 others. And here's a study showing coastal flooding in the U.S. is going to continue to increase as the seas rise, so says a new report. And just how high will they rise? That's one of the big questions as well.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to be a bit of a nuisance at first, but people are going to have time to like move out of the way. It just feels like everything that's happening is happening kind of in slow motion, which is good. Gives us time to adjust to what we need to adjust to.
But at the same time, it's the consistency. Like these events that we see now, these massive floods, they happen every single day. And not like once a month, okay, maybe we have one this month over somewhere in Indonesia, then there's a horrible one next month somewhere over in Africa, and then the following month in South America. It's like every single day now there's record floods. And it's just part of the new territory that we're in. And here we see out of the war zone, newly released FAA documents give unprecedented look into Colorado's drone swarm mystery. So hundreds of pages of documents provide consistent, detailed description of the drones and conclude the military wasn't behind the operation. So it wasn't the military. The military never took responsibility. Who was it? One thing came straight to my mind. I mean, and I'm not going to go with the ET route. I'm actually thinking more China. Because I think it's pretty obvious that we're heading towards confrontation. And again, this could be reconnaissance, testing, probing, prodding.
Yeah, to see how far that they can push.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And the other thing that I had them up before for a different video, but didn't get to it. But do you remember when I was telling you guys how they discovered a shipment of steel pins and things that were labeled like that, but they were all, they're all parts of small arms, such as we would find in most military caches. Of which you could make them into components like, uppers and lowers, receivers, different barrels, things like that. And then could be assembled by people as they're getting the shipments. Well, there's actually been 3 of those that have been intercepted. So, I found out about 2 other cases. It really does feel like they're shipping in, and they all came from China. So, who are they arming? Are they arming, BLM, Antifa? Are they arming sleeper cells? Who are they arming? And, what's really going on there?
Yeah, that's really curious. That's something that I was curious about to see what happens. It just seems like there'd be more ways to kind of prod and figure out where that stuff is going and where it came from and that it happened again. So I feel like it's a little bit of a information leak that they have to disclose that. So that really caught my eye that it happened again.
Yeah, as Rob says, stuff to build full auto pew-pews. Exactly. So, sending it in parts to be assembled later. There's so much going on right now. And, these drones, perhaps they were from another country, maybe not out of this world. So I just wanted to share something that you guys might feel interesting. Everybody has their own opinions. I'm a junkie when it comes to top 10.
Yes.
We're both junkies. Yeah. We love to look at all these top 10, best places to survive a zombie apocalypse or, whatever it is. So here's the 17 best cities in the Western U.S. to live in after the pandemic. And, of course, everybody has their own factors. And me, I wouldn't live in a city again, although I wouldn't mind being 45 minutes to an hour from a city. I like being out in the country. I like being remote. Remote is good because there's just less frequencies. And I think a lot of us are getting more sensitive to being around frequencies. So I can't stand even driving through the cities anymore. I'd rather try to avoid them at all costs. So 17 is Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that is probably my 4th or 5th favorite place in the country as far as towns, cities. Santa Fe is gorgeous. I love it. It's beautiful. It's quaint. It's charming. It's just nice and fun. So Santa Fe is number 17. Then you got Billings, Montana coming in at 16. And Boise, Idaho. Idaho is booming. And Cindy's brother lives in the periphery of Boise. And he's definitely your typical outdoorsman out there, bringing home as much food as they go to the grocery store to get. And Boise's booming too, with tons of people coming in from California. And a lot of people are escaping the politics of, say, California, Washington, and Oregon and heading to Idaho. Salt Lake City, Utah, as well, as we were talking about them, and they had some shaking going on there. Sierra Vista, Arizona. And so this is actually how the list came to me from a realtor I was working with in Sierra Vista. And I love Cochise County. Cochise County it just feels comfortable to me, and I enjoy it a lot. So Sierra Vista is a real nice little town. Don't you agree, Cindy?
Oh my gosh, it was super quaint. It just felt good. It had a nice high vibe. I enjoyed it there. I did.
And then we had a heck of a time in Tombstone. It was just like walking back into the past. I mean, I loved it. Mm-hmm. Tombstone was fun.
We totally had a blast there. It was great.
Boulder, Colorado. Beautiful area, most definitely. Ogden, Utah, number 11. And I have not been through Utah yet, but maybe soon. Great Falls, Montana. Provo, Utah. See quite a bit of Utah in the list. Walla Walla, Washington. Have you been through that area?
I might have driven through it, maybe.
Missoula, Montana, number 7. Casper, Wyoming, number 6. And Wyoming is the least populated state in the country, if you want to get remote. Corvallis, Oregon.
Love it. Looks gorgeous. Ooh, Idaho Falls. Been through there. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Pocatello, Idaho. Do you know there?
Been through there. A lot of character there.
So in case you don't know that, Idaho is Cindy's home state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, northern Idaho. We were there by the Canadian border.
She was born pretty much right on the Canadian border. Mm-hmm. Cheyenne, Wyoming, and she did have experiences with Bigfoot up there.
Oh my gosh, I sure did. It was interesting.
So yeah, Cheyenne, Wyoming, number 2. And number 1, Logan, Utah. An adorable little town.
Absolutely super cute.
So over here we have 7 things America has learned from survivalists this year. And I think there's a lot less picking on and saying, you're a crazy prepper. You're a crazy survivalist. Nothing's ever going to happen. This has been a year that has shown that people that are prepping, people that are survivalists, maybe weren't so crazy after all. So a backup stash is essential. Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I mean, there's different systems you can implement. And so, like for instance, I like one particular type of crushed tomatoes because it just makes the best sauce. So, it's like when you get down to that last case or 2 cases, buy another case or 2. Just don't let yourself, get to where you're always out, and, have a certain amount of supply in mind. I would say, again, the government said 6 months. On your own, I would say, double or triple it to be safe. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things too where I'm not one that's big on buying a lot of the stuff that I wouldn't eat in the first place, just in case, of whatever. I would be going along the lines of stuff that you eat on a regular basis, stock up on it, and then maybe invest in some really good containers that's going to keep the bugs and everything else, watertight, airtight containers, which we've got a bunch we just got in. Medical supplies are limited. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even get masks. You're supposed to have masks, and you couldn't even get masks. You couldn't get hand sanitizer. You couldn't get a ton of things. backup prescriptions are essential if you're on any sort of prescription med. For us, it would be backup essential oils and things like that as well. And for instance, like your vitamins and things that you're taking, perhaps like elderberry, and there's so many other things we could think of to have in the house that are natural alternatives. Emergency kit could come in handy. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, enough band-aids, enough bandages, all sorts of things like that as well. When in crisis, people bake. Yeah, I mean, I have made so much fresh bread. And, I maybe made fresh bread once or twice in my entire life before the last, 6-7 months. And now I make fresh bread all the time.
Oh, it is so good too.
And we can't rely on our standard food supply system. No, most definitely not. So again, garden, definitely garden, and long-term storage. How to socially distance, and in some places they're going from 6 feet to 10 feet is what we are hearing. It's all about self-reliance. So those people that have been moving into the tiny homes and homesteads and back in 2007, that was my plan. I was in a different relationship at that point in time. We couldn't agree, so we compromised. It wasn't a good compromise. What I wanted to do is I wanted acres. I wanted at least 5 to 10 acres. I didn't care if I was living in a single wide or a double wide. I wanted acreage somewhere where you could grow things in a good climate. And, again, I knew way back then that we'd be heading into these times, and now we are in these times.
Yes, we definitely are. So there's just a lot of things that we can do. We can get backups for and just sort of have on hand, and rotate your food. Don't forget to rotate your food. And there's a ton of videos on YouTube as far as, how to stock for these things, and if you have a small space. So there's a lot of info out there for us.
Check your dates as well. Again, those are suggestions. Those dates, usually they're suggestions. Sometimes you could go longer depending on what the item is. But I'll share with you guys, during the midst of it, I ordered like 2 cases of organic veggie broth, and I got them in from Amazon's Prime Pantry when they had their Prime Pantry. And I looked at the date, and it's only like 3 months away. Usually when you order that stuff, it's a good 18 months, 2 years out. I was so surprised. It was such a short turnaround. Now they'll probably last a little bit longer, but there was other stuff I already had and that I had bought like months ago, and the dates on that was like 18 to 24 months out. So, I had to put those to the front. So again, as Cindy was saying, rotate definitely.
And thank you, Grizz. And Grizz says, important survival tip. Treat each infection as potentially fatal. You get cuts, scratches, etc. Keep clean at all costs. Practice basic sanitation. So super important. Thank you, Grizz, for pointing that out. I couldn't agree more.
And Riser says he has a 13-person tent. Helped us survive as well. And thank you, brother Grizz. And, Grizz is a protector. That's what he is, and so he's out there doing his thing. So he's out there running courses, shooting courses with multiple targets, training just like the police and the military. And he is former military, as well as some of our other brothers here and on the family as well. And I'm sure there's probably some sisters out there as well. So, it's something we don't really touch on, but at the same time, it's good to be proficient at many different skills. And, as I've shared with you guys, like Cindy and I, we're training right now in a very, very holistic manner. And I find it fun as can be. So we have various things set up, and we just kind of run from one thing to another. And we do rounds, and we just take a 5-second break, just long enough to go grab another, either weight that we're going to be doing, or we do a lot of cardio kickboxing, practice a lot of self-defense, and just basically give yourself a good all-around workout. we should be in good shape in these times. We really have to take care of our bodies and boost our immune systems. It's so important right now. As we have, seen, there's so many reasons to get in good shape and to be physically fit, as well as, spiritually prepared and mentally prepared for whatever's coming.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to get ready for. I still think the spiritual, physical things, that's what's going to hold our heads above water.
Most definitely. So, we'll do some videos. Riser's asking, can you help with that? Sure. Yeah, we could definitely do some more videos on ideas with training and all, and we will in the future. There's a lot of ways to stay fit with almost no equipment, too. You really don't need equipment. It's not just minimal. And in case you guys don't know, but I've been a personal trainer for years, as well as a licensed massage therapist, and studied nutrition as well. So, health and wellness and fitness, as well as studied 4 different martial arts. That's always been a big part of my life. So I love it. And thank you, brother. And he says, make sure you do buy a gun that you can handle. Don't just go buy a 357 or a 45 because it looks cool. Train with your weapon. And when you get down to that, I think, again, most people that understand shooting and stuff, we might gravitate towards the 9mm just because there's going to be tons of ammo out there to find for that. And we could get into a ton of videos on that type of stuff as well. Purposely, I've not gone down that route, but doesn't mean that haven't done some training and have some experience as well. Yeah, not from China though. Yes, that's right, Scratch. So guys, thank you so much as always for your support. Please stay prepared. As always, God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.